they counted me out. Moment of truth, counting it down. Underdog story was down for the count. Back on my feet, back with a mic, back on the beat, back with a family, then bang in the streets. The game on lock, I stand with a key. Standing my ground, I am planning to flee.
What's up everyone, China Cycling here. Welcome to the Tour of Guangxi, the only World Tour race that happens in China. Walking down just before the start of stage 6. The rider's getting ready to set out. Trying my hardest not to hit anyone. Don't want to knock some rider off the bike just before the start of a race. So the race has just got underway on day 6, the last day of the Tour of Guangxi. So this is like the only World Tour level race that happens in China and one of the few World Tour races that happens in Asia. And of course, it's the last World Tour race of the season as well. So everyone's kind of fatigued, let's say, from the season. But yeah, it's a good experience for the Chinese fans, you know, who are pretty new to road cycling, for them to get up and close and personal with like World Tour level riders. I think it's fair to say that most of the teams don't send the A teams, they don't send the best riders. Those guys have already had their season, but still you get some pretty big names. You know, you've got the likes of Sam Bennett here, Rigoberto Urán and Esteban Chaves, to name just a few. So, you know, still strong riders, still World Tour riders. One of the biggest challenges of the race is that it's a flyaway race. So lots of the teams, you know, I was talking to some of the teams, Ineos and stuff, they have just 7 staff. So, you know, you've got to do all your mechanics, your soigneurs, your drivers, all that stuff with just 7 staff. So pretty tough ask for the team. Pretty exhausting week for them, I imagine, too. And the race organizers help out how they can. You know, they give each team a little team truck and stuff, but still, when they're used to, you know, the mega bus back in Europe, I guess it's pretty hard for them to get used to. But yeah, in general, the race is just a cool experience, but it's definitely a bit wacky. Most of the World Tour teams were there, with a few teams missing, but taking up the slack was the Tudor Continental team on the shiny new BMC Team Machine R, which looks good in the flesh, and also the Chinese national team were there too. Now, this one was the interesting one, as many of the riders on the national team have worked their way up from amateur level racing in China when they were like university students or whatever, and so it's really interesting to see what happens when they go up against these World Tour riders. They were obviously the local heroes and they got the loudest cheers on the stage. One of their riders, Ma Bingyan, was actually mixing it up in the sprints. I think he got an 8th place finish on the 2nd stage, which was just 2 places behind Sam Bennett, so not bad. However, the team did seem to struggle in the mountains. The team lost lots of time on the Queen stage, with the team finally finishing in dead last place, 55 minutes down on Team GC and like 45 minutes behind second to last place. So just goes to show that even B team World Tour riders are still World Tour riders. Now, I was in attendance with Racine. They're a bike roof rack brand that I've featured on the channel before. They supply all of the roof racks to the team cars and the neutral service vehicles. Each rack can take like 7 bikes, but it's actually only attached to the car by suction cups. Now, the team cars are driven crazy fast, especially on the mountain descents, and it's impressive to see like 7 team cars and this whole rack just taking all that abuse with just these suction cups. Now, we were following in the convoy and our job was to help out if anyone had issues with their roof rack. Fortunately, nobody did have an issue, but one of the team cars did end up rear-ending another team car. It was a pretty big crash, even the airbags got set off and stuff, but everyone was fine and the emergency services in the convoy were straight on the scenes, so kudos to the race organizers and all the staff there. We pulled over behind them and helped them to change to the backup team car. So basically they had to get all 7 bikes off of their car and onto the spare car, and then all of the spare wheels, their tools, nutrition, etc. had to all go over to the new car. So the clock is ticking, you know, there's riders up the road that might be waiting for them for feeding or for a new wheel, so it was all pretty frantic. After they changed over to their new car, we had to take the roof rack off their old car and put it onto our car, and our car then essentially became the new spare team car. So it was a pretty fun experience and a unique way to follow the race. Now, it doesn't actually get to see much of the racing, but I was watching the live stream on my phone, and we'd also get to see lots of wheel changes, bike changes, and also some of the riders who'd been dropped. Now, walking around the pits before the race was also pretty cool. The mechanics and staff were fine to chat to. I was asking their opinion about all sorts of things like disc brakes, and most of them said they didn't really mind. But one thing I did see almost every day was riders going up to mechanics and complaining about disc rub, and then mechanics trying to recenter the disc there for them. So, you know, I'm still not a big fan of disc brakes, but to be fair though, those mechanics can change a front wheel so fast, even with the through axle. It was very impressive to see. Here on the Intermarché team car, obviously one of the riders' bikes, Rigoberto noticed his tyre is on backwards, so even World Tour mechanics get that wrong and put tyres on backwards sometimes. Now, just before every race, the riders would sign on and then go to their little team tent to wait for the start of the race. They're obviously used to their privacy of their team bus, but this meant it was a good chance for the fans to get up close to the riders. Lots of people were asking for autographs, etc., including me, but most of the fans were patient and tried not to disturb the riders too much. But it was good to do some fanboying. I got a signed bottle from Jonathan Milan, and I got a photo with Sam Bennett and Esteban Chaves, so I was happy too. Speaking of the fans, the hardcore cycling fans of China all come to this race. Like, there are some really super fans, and they come armed with facts and printed photos of the favorite riders, their favorite memories, their favorite victories, and then they get those photos signed. There were a few riders celebrating their birthdays during the race, and these super fans would prepare them gifts and stuff. It was really cool to see. Now, most of the riders were happy to oblige, giving autographs and stuff, and there was a viral clip on Instagram of Urán giving his water bottle to a young boy who was running beside him, so yeah, that was cool to see too. Now, the teams also all got to stay in super nice hotels, which I guess is something they're not too used to, like, you know, 5-star hotels with nice big buffets. Space was sometimes limited though, so the teams were hard pressed to find a good place to work, but they managed to get it all done. The logistics of this race are just mind-blowing. So as well as the riders, you have about 160 vehicles in the convoy, including like the camera motorbikes, the timing motorbikes, the commission air motorbikes, and then each team has one team minibus, an SUV for feeding, 2 team cars, and a truck. Now add on to that the neutral service, the ambulances, the police escorts, the fire truck, and everything else. And even finding a place for all these vehicles to park gets crazy. But yeah, just all in all, the race was a great experience. Milan Veda of Jumbo-Visma ended up taking the win on GC, giving Jumbo-Visma yet another Tour title. That about covers our coverage of the Tour of Guangxi. If you like the video, give it a quick like, something a bit different. And yeah, subscribe if you want to see more like this in the future. I think I'll come back out here again next year. Super cool experience. Thanks for having me Tour of Guangxi. Thanks for Ponix for hooking up with the shades. And yeah, thanks for everyone else who met out here as well. So yeah, China Cycling out. Panda.